Hello and welcome back to a series I like to call The Art of the Mentally Ill. It is a series where I take my experience with mental health and mental illness and I turn it into pieces of art for you guys to enjoy. Today we're going to be going over more pieces about my hallucinations, and if you don't know anything about me, I experience something known as psychosis, where I am disconnected from reality. Sometimes I see things that aren't there, hear things that aren't there, feel things that aren't there, and sometimes I believe things that aren't based in reality. On the same train of thought, I also feel intense anxiety and depression, which are both symptoms of my psychotic disorder. Paranoia, depression, lack of motivation can all be found in my psychotic illness, which is on the schizophrenia spectrum. Today we're going to be going over pieces of art that I based on my hallucinations that I've experienced through psychosis. I hope you enjoy. And if I'm being completely honest, I am a very bad artist, so don't come out here and judge me and be like, oh, he's a cartoony. Yeah, I know, I'm working on it. But anyway, let's get into the art. This piece is heavily inspired by my hallucinations. Now, what are hallucinations? Hallucinations are external stimuli that isn't actually there. So for example, what I'm going to be drawing for you today is a bunch of faces. And I will often see faces and other human parts coming out of inanimate objects. It started off when I was a lot younger, when I would see walls breathing, when I would see kaleidoscopic shapes in the world, in the environment, but eventually it turned into human body parts. I remember arms coming out of a tree. I remember seeing walls have mouths and actually breathing through the mouths and the nose that was on them. And this is sort of like what I see. Like I said before, I'm not that good at creating art, but it's definitely something that I take some attention to detail with. You can obviously see that I'm adding a lot of shading, a lot of lines, a lot of chaotic stuff, because when you think about it, when I see hallucinations, I see something that my brain can't process correctly. Think about it like this. You see something out of the corner of your eye and you're like, oh wow, that was scary. I wonder what that was. This was weird. And then you continue moving on with your life and you feel like that thing in the corner of your eye didn't mean anything. But then when that time you see that thing increases, when it increases to the point where you're not only seeing something, but you're feeling something, you're hearing something. And it's not just out of the corner of your eye, it's full on. And so you start to feel very, very hopeless. And the longer it goes on, the more hopeless you get. When I see things in walls, sometimes it's my AirPod case growing legs and arms and scuttling all over my room. Sometimes it's my lamp has eyes. Sometimes it's inanimate objects are breathing, like I said before. And this piece of art is something that I wanted to portray that in. And you do see a bunch of faces because it's kind of like that. It's like a kaleidoscope, if you will, a kaleidoscope of faces. And this is something that I really am not proud of, but I feel like every artist is gonna feel like that. Plus, I'm a lot better with acrylics. So, with that being said, let's get into the next art. This piece of art is another inspiration, or it was also inspired by my hallucinations, except this one's a little bit different. I did mention my AirPods case growing legs and scuttling away, which is exactly what this is. I realized that when I'm completely done with this drawing, it looks nothing like an AirPod case, but think about it like this. You see how lizards lose their tails? It's kind of like how they regrow it back. Imagine a AirPod case regrowing back its arms and legs and tail and long body and head. It's kind of uncanny. And I am taking my time with this one because I do want it to look a little bit more realistic, but I'm taking creative liberty and making it a little bit more cartoonish because I find that it's easier to draw in cartoonish style. Again, like many of my hallucinations, it has very dark sunken in eyes, a lot of lines, a lot of contour, a lot of contrast, and it's something that I have not only felt, but like I said in the past, I hear, see, feel, sometimes smell. I do realize that smell is a much less common hallucination, but olfactory hallucinations, I will often smell things like eucalyptus or oak or some stench following, anything. Like I'll have a psychotic episode and then I'll start smelling eucalyptus, and it's just like that for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. But as you can see, I am drawing a very sunken in eyes and a very defined nose, not as much detail around the mouth. I did want to create a little bit more of a sharp sort of AirPod-esque kind of face, so I put a lot of loose line work, I mean, around the face, and eventually you will be able to see the whole thing come together. I will show the rest of the painting, or not painting, the rest of the drawing in a little bit, but I do realize that as it is now, you can't really see the whole painting or drawing. I keep saying painting. I love to paint, and I think that's one of the only good things that I'm good at. One of the things that I'm good at. But yeah, I mean, I'm drawing a little bit more not detail, but I'm drawing a little bit more lines on the edges just so it can get a little bit more symmetry. And yeah, there you go. I moved it so you can actually see it. So you can see that it looks like a gecko with a human head. And that is the best way I can describe it, a gecko with a human head. So that is a very freaky thing to think about. I don't want to keep you waiting. So let's go to the outro. So this was The Art of the Mentally Ill. I do focus my channel mainly around mental health content. I know that these animation, drawing, art kind of videos are not as they are very popular, but they're not as easy to produce, so I don't do them as much. But regardless, I hope you enjoyed. It's something that I love to do. It's one of my best passions, and I feel like a lot of people can benefit from learning about mental illness through art. So if you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Ahui ho, malama pono.